Hello everybody, Frankie Dave back here on YouTube. Okay guys, this evening on YouTube, this is my second one I posted for this evening. Right here, this is a takeoff from last night when I introduced all the kits I bought yesterday at Smitty's Hobby Shop. This is the one I got from Russ down there. This is the one I'm going to build. I pondered on it and thought about it and said, well, just don't get overboard, so to break up the monotony, so I'm going to go ahead and do an entry of a group build for Greg Huffs, a WW1 biplane. I've got his approval ready. He says go ahead, Frank, and go ahead and do it. Take your time, all the time you need, and that's exactly what I'll be doing. So this is probably going to be about a 2 to 3 week model build, and I'll take my time on it, and I got other priorities I'm getting squared away on. Okay guys, getting back to this. This is going to be an inbox review of my second entry for Greg Huffs World War I biplane group build entry. This is a 1/72 scale Roden Foker DV11. This is Hermann Göring's aircraft. This is his flying circus. This is his color. This is his personal ship. And I ingested the instructions. I looked at the contents of the parts. And the sprues and the decals and everything to prepare myself to make a good inbox review, guys. I got to start taking pride in my videos, and I know my videos are quite unusual compared to a lot of you great fellows out there, but we're all different, so that's what makes our community so well worth being. Okay guys, I'll start out with the box art right here, and this is the box that the kit comes out of. The parts and instructions and decals are removed from the box to make it easier accessibility to the video. And right here on the paint schedule on this aircraft is all flat white. And I assumed at first that I assumed that it was winter months, the winter paint scheme that they use during the winter months, but this is actually Hermann Göring's personal color for his D7, all flat white. So in preparations of the final color scheme on this aircraft, what I'm going to do some pre-shading on it to bring out the weathered look of flat white, and go from there. So the color schedule for this kit is right here, fellas, and these are the color call outs right here. These tell you exactly what color they are. Again, the instructions don't tell you what color paints, what branded paints they are. They just go by the legend codes of what they go by. Just call out codes. So anyway, these are the call out codes for the kit. Now this D7 comes in 3 options, and color schedule wise, and this is given on the instructions themselves. So on this aircraft I'll be doing on Hermann Göring's D7 will be flat white, which pertains to this paint schedule right here. Okay guys, we'll get to the instructions and the decals, and we'll get to the sprues, and we'll get that underway, fellas. So right now I'm going to go ahead and start out with the decals, and we'll get the instructions going. This is out of the way here, fellas. Decals are here. Now, from my understanding, these are the German decals. These are Hermann Göring's decals you're going to use, because you got 3 options. Like I say, all 3 of these decals are different options. You had Lithuanian, Lithuanian, I can't pronounce it. I'm very sorry, folks. My apologies. Lithuania decals right here, and you got the Red Army Service right here. And these are decals. I thought they were Russian stars. I said, well, I don't think the Russians were involved back then in World War I like that, especially aircraft-wise. So anyway, so this is the Red Army, and this is Lithuanian Air Force. This is the German Air Force star, and the crosses that's used on Hermann Göring's aircraft. And again, look at the decals. They're very matte. They have a matte finish on, so instead of having glossy, traditionally glossy decals. So imagine they're done in matte form for a purpose, to show authenticity, to leave less silver finishing on the finish of the aircraft itself. So anyway, folks, the decals, 3 options. You got 3 machines. Once again, you got the German crosses, Got the Red Army Service and Lieutenant Air Force right here. And we'll get to the instructions, boys. So we'll put the decals at rest over here next to the box top, and we'll bring the instructions out next. The instructions right here are all bilingual and tells you the characteristics of the aircraft and blah blah blah, etc., etc. I think you fellas get the point on the preparation of the instructions. Here's the sprues. It comes with 4 sprues, fellas, and you got the sprues for the engines parts, and you got your Lewis guns in there, and you got your sight, you got your yoke, and you got your other sprue here, you got your fuselage assembly, and you got your nose, the radiator nose piece here, and you got your sprue number 3, you got your top wing, and you got multiple choice of options of three propellers, which the kit does give you. It gives you 3 props. That'll be shown on the sprues. And it goes, you got your cabin struts, interplane struts, you got your tires, you got your undercarriage interplane fairings that fit underneath between your undercarriage. And lastly, sprue number 4, you got your bottom wing assembly, you got your vertical stabilizer, your rudder, and these black out parts here, I guess they're either you don't use, I don't think you don't need them on the kit. They're optional, I guess. So here's your stabilizer, and right here, starting out with the construction of the kit in general, is that you got your top, your front section of your fuselage, got your twin Lewis guns. Right here, you got your control dial instrument panel right here, which is very few dial facings on there, and they're pretty well highly detailed from the sprues when I last remembered. And this is the assembly of the engine. I like apologize for the saying 40 parts of the motor. I guess I overlooked it because I couldn't see too good through the baggie. These are the parts here that make the motor right here. There's probably 8 or 9 parts right there, and the motor itself is very detailed. And you got your undercarriage. These are all sub-assemblies. So you got your pilot's floor with his wicker seat, his yoke, rudder pedals, primer, switches. Also got your trim tab right there. And how they trimmed them back in World War I, they used flying wires, fellas. Those flying wires not only give the aircraft rigidity and strength, they're operable for control surfaces. Like you can pull in a warp and a wing to trim the airplane, because sometimes aircraft of that nature at that time and era, they had a favorability of one a bank. So it's the only way to be able to. They didn't have trim tab controls on ailerons. So what they did, instead of using a lot of aileron, they pulled in a warp and a wing by using fly wires. That was adjusted on the field before it went in the air. That's why they had turnbuckles on. Okay, guys, page number 2 is the remainder of the construction. There's a few parts in this kit, and you got your step 5. There's probably 8 step assemblies on here to complete the build here. And you got over here, you got on the 5th here, you got the fuselage sub-assembly, which is a pre-assembled cockpit floor and the motor, and also your gun, and also your cowling top. And on the back side, you got your bottom wing, your undercarriage, and you got your support struts for your stabilizer. And step 7, the final assembly is the top wings. So when we get to the assembly here, folks, all the interplanes and cabin struts got to be cemented in place on the wing, on the bottom wing only. And I gotta make a jig to make sure that these struts are aligned. So the best jig and method to use is when you glue your struts on top of your wings, is make sure when it's set, when they start to hard a little bit, you gotta manipulate them in position and dry fit your top wing. And once the wing is fit, you can take, using masking tape or a rubber band with not too much tautness into it, you can hold the wing in there 24 hours What it'll do right there, it'll position your struts. So when you look to, then you go ahead and add your rigging to it. So the rigging I'm going to use, folks, is right here. This is called fuse wire, which is actually like armature wire. This is very thin, folks. What you got to do, you step off an end, you take a pair of pliers on one end, the other one, and you stretch it. It'll straighten out. Using a pair of dividers right here, you measure in between your cabin struts and top of your wing where it goes. You cut it there using ACC glue, or use white glue, and glue your struts in place. Monofilament and rigging thread was under the builder's discretion. I would highly suggest don't use it because you're going to run into trouble. You're dealing with a model that's a 1/72nd scale, which is a very small scale. And World War I aircraft in general are very, very small aircraft. And so that makes a smaller model. And these aircraft are very tiny and very small. And it wouldn't take much force for you to snap off an interplane strut and your cabin struts. So what you need to do now is this. The best suggestion is to use armature wire or fuse wire, or use sprue. Take your sprue over a nice candle, and when it drapes a little bit, stretch out, and just hold it there until it cools. Again, using your dividers to make your measurements from your wing to your cabin struts, and so forth and so forth. Can't go wrong, fellas. There's a tip right there, boys. And it's tedious but effective. Very effective. Okay, guys, on the 8th assembly right here, this completes assembly. You got your you have your exhaust baffles, your oil feed line goes on top of your radiator, top of the motor here. This is all water cooled. And your props are optional. You got three options right here. I guess they're different models. There's 3 models of the D7. So each model represents what kind of prop to use. Herman Goring's prop is probably different than the rest of the fellows that they use, the aces that they used during World War I. Their props different from somewhat from aircraft to aircraft of this type. Okay, boys, right here, getting over here. Now, decal option number 2 is, this is the Red Army Service decals, and the paint schedule for this, imagine it's all green. And you got different logos on here. Call-outs call for the paint parts. Also, your decals are in your boxes here. And these right here, these tell you the colors of your paint colors that's used. They're not federal standard colors. They go by a color code. I imagine these probably Humbrol paints. I'm quite certain they are. I don't think they're Vallejo. So I think they're more or less traditionally Europeans. More or less are pretty favorable to using either Tamiya paint brands or Humbrol. Humbrol is a very good paint. It's very sadly to say I can't find Humbrol paints in hobby shops here, especially in the USA. They used to make them back in the 70s, but in most hobby shops, but they don't carry them anymore. They more or less go to Vallejo or Model Master. So that's pretty much the memo for the paint that we use here, the domestic quality. And there's probably some states or some parts that do stock Humbrol's paints. Okay, lastly, the paint schedule here. This is the bottom section. Now, this is Lieutenant Air Force. It has your paint schedule on the underside here, and of course you got your color call-outs, and color schedule too. This is either your color paint schedule number 2 for that the Lieutenant Air Force. So they give you 2 paint schedule options on there. And that completes the instructions on there, folks. So I guess you guys pretty much get the general idea. Okay, guys, starting out with the sprues right here. This is the motor. It's very highly detailed, and this camera is very friendly, which I think it is. We'll zoom in a little bit. We'll take a look at the details, and we'll discuss the parts on the sprues. Here's the engine parts, composed of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 parts. 8 parts make the engine. Highly detailed, a good color of aluminum, and some good black wash on there will really make this thing scream alive. Here's your twin guns, your Lewis guns fit in front of your front of the cockpit there, where the pilot has accessibility to the loading triggers here, and the rest of the parts right here go to your guns, and some parts here go to your cockpit interiors. This sprue consists of, and it's highly detailed. Remarkably enough, there's no flash on here at all, so it's a very clean sprue. And that'll be that in this. We'll back out of the zoom mode. Then we'll go to sprue number 2. Okay, guys, just like our Panzer Bill's bunker would say, this thing's a flash pig. As you can see, the flash on here, folks, a real turnoff for a good kit. As you can see, all the flash on there, folks. So in preparation of gluing these parts together and moving from the sprues, they got to be cleaned. So cleaning them shouldn't present no problem at all. All it is just flash. It comes off pretty good. Take a number 11 blade in the back side of it and clean it off a little bit. Buff it out with a sanding file, and you're in business for construction wise. So on this sprue here consists your rudder, your bottom wing, your interplane for your undercarriage, your stabilizer. This is your top of your cowling, where your Lewis guns are housed at, and there's where your control console, your dial instrument panel fits across there. Looks like right here you got your undercarriage assembly right here, interplane struts, you got your stabilizer struts, got your manifold piece right there, goes to the engine, and you got more of it right here, as you can see. And that concludes sprue number 2, and we'll move right over, fellas. Sprue number 3. This is the fuselage section right here, and the fuselage is highly detailed. As you can see, the blemishes right there, those are the lingeries, which represent the fabric that goes over the lingeries. So that right there is going to be a very, very, very good pre-shading right there that can be used on that flat white. Then we do a rubber buff on it like that. You can buff it in. You can really bring in the highlights of the lingeries that are actually protruding through the canvas skins that they used. Here's you got 2 portions of your radiator, which is your front part of your cowling right there. I guess you got 2 options right there. So that terminates sprue number 3. Inside, the detail is very, very smattering, and you can see the lingerie detail there. That got to be picked out real good. I think picked out with a toothpick or a fine brush, or go furthermore than that, go ahead and paint the inside white, and pick out the lingerie, dry brush, a light brown on there for the lingeries. That completes sprue number 3, and lastly, sprue number 4, which completes the inbox review for Greg Huffs World War 1 biplane group build. Here's the top wing, folks. Again, there's flash on the trailing edges, also on the wingtip area. There's the 3 props that call for 3 different models of the D7 model, and these are 3 options they give you right here. And the props got sprue on them too. This prop here don't have too much sprue on it, but the other 2 versions here, it's covered with flash. And your interplane struts and cabin struts got no flash on them. That's a relief right there. And again, seems like to me you got some more tires right there. And right here is your cockpit floor. I imagine these are all your interior parts. And fellas, that completes the inbox review for the Roden 1/72 scale Foker D7 F model. And this is Herman Goring's machine. And this is what I'll be doing for Greg Huffs' World War I biplane group build. This will be my second entry. And it's going to be done in the splendid color of flat white. So this is going to be a dandy of an airplane. And I went down to Lowe's. I bought me a little small wooden base stand. It's round and circular. And I'm going to go down into the hobby shop to the railroad department. And I'm going to get me some pre-made grass scenery. Cut out a disc. And go ahead and use contact cement and glue sand on top of the varnish base right there, using a straightened out clothes hanger, having a flying attitude. That's what I'm going to start doing with all my World War I aircraft. So this is going to be a group build I'll be doing in between working on my Arizona and my Titanic and my short Sunderland. And I should have another video in a couple of days of my Yonkers 52. I got to complete the fuselage on it, and I got to do some airbrush painting on it a little bit. I got to touch up some blemishes here and there. And other than that, she's good to go for the following assembly of gluing the wings together. So the fuselage needs just a little tidying up. And instantly I got the video. I just made that a while ago. It's uploading as I speak. Right here, it's time to get off here, folks. I've been here long enough right here, so that completes Greg Huffs' World War I biplane group build, my second entry for my Fokker D7, Herman Goring's machine. And this is Frankie Day signing off. May God bless, and we'll catch you guys all in the next video. And make Mama happy, and please subscribe. And we'll catch you fellas later. And you boys take care, guys. Bye, man.